Hey people, it's Dragon back with you at Dragon Speaks for You with a number 4 and a letter U on YouTube, and attach a Gmail to that. That's my email. Listen, I want to bring something up. You know, it is something I've been experiencing for one, and thinking about for years and years, but things are coming to fruition, that surprise even me. I mean, uh, this spiritual battle, I keep talking about this spiritual battle, and it's becoming so prominent that I can't help it. Like, I just can't help it. It's actual fact. I mean, you know, uh, there's a there's powers out there that are working against us people, and it's hard to understand, but yet I understand, but it's hard to visualize until it's happening to you. Okay. And, there's people like me and others that are waking up, or have woken up to this uh, issue. And we're trying to wake other people up to it, and it's going to come about, and it is coming about. It's happening as we speak. But maybe we need to work it out a little quicker. You understand? It's look, we there's something, and I know a lot of folks, man. They think this is the induction process and the programming that it's been going on for years. Okay. And people are stuck in this. It's part of this matrix thing. Okay. So and it's easy to call people conspiracy theorists, right? And it's only that if it's not happening to you, your mind's going to change. Your mind's going to change when it's happening to you, and there's no conspiracy theory to it. It's an actual fact. It's an actual fact. But then they start calling you crazy, or you know uh, out of your mind, or you know on drugs or something. There's always some excuse to not believe it, which is, everybody's prerogative, I guess. But it's more than an opinion for those that these things are happening to, uh, you know, uh, all these upper echelon people, man, uh, going down all of a sudden. You look at the news, look around the world, just the states, just what's going on. There's law enforcement, high officials going down for, you know, trafficking drugs, big amounts of drugs, working with cartels and, uh, you know, um, child trafficking groups and, syndicate. That's worldwide, man. Everybody knows that, but they close their eyes to it. You walk around with these blinders, like, as long as it's not happening to me, but we ought to be concerned. It affects us. You know what I mean? Does your daughter have to be inducted into it, or your child, before you realize, hey, man, this is real, you know, or we start, you know, in support of the groups that are fighting against it. Uh, I've got a lot of grandbabies, and, there's a lot of people with grandbabies and children out there also that, what are they coming into? You know what I mean? And it's scary for them. You never know. Somebody's going to snatch them up. They're snatching them out of Walmart and down the street, and walking to school. And then they disappear, never see them. I've seen walls and walls of missing children, Man, that hurts, to just see the wall. Go down to your post office and check out the wall. You know, uh, and that's another thing. I don't know why it would be at the post office, but anyway, that's another. But uh, I don't know what they're doing. As far as, are we getting ready for a civil war? Is it going to be a civil war? And I don't mean to scare anybody. I don't mean to scare people, but I think we need to wake up to some facts and start preparing. And I don't know about building bunkers and stocking food and all that stuff, but maybe that right now it would have been a good idea. Everybody getting cut off of food stamps and all that stuff. But, is it installing fear? Is it installing fear? You know, uh, is it another test of control for future reference? I know it's more than just this immediate. It's, I just feel that. I just feel that, you know. And people can call me whatever they want to call me. I mean, he's nuts. He's talking crazy. He don't know what he's talking about and all this, but that doesn't matter to me. There's been many things that I've said in the past, and I've told people, uh, from small things to large things uh, that have come true, and it all comes from these things I feel from the spirit, man. And people just don't want to believe. They don't want to believe this. The spirit, because you can't touch it. I guess Well, why don't you give it a try? Support it. If you support it within yourself, you know what I mean? Look, for one, how people always say they said this or they said that, or, this is what they say, and who is they? We've always said that, but we've taken it as kind of a joke. But you know what? There's an actual they that we're not aware of. This is what I'm talking about. They actually exist. And these are people that are running the world, you know what I mean? And, or causing a lot of the negative that's coming at the ordinary citizen. Excuse me just a second. You know what I mean? So we're starting to expose who they are, and they don't like it. So of course we're getting attacked, and you as a common citizen, and what you call a civilian, you're not in these groups or anything like that we're battling. I mean, that are battling against them. As that's what I mean by civilian. Okay. Once you enter one of these groups, you're no longer a civilian. You're part of it. Excuse me. So, but anyway, that's what I mean by that. But we're exposing, who they are in all these different entities, all these different groups, and they don't like it. So we're being attacked, and only those that are being attacked actually know the reality of it. Okay, so we're trying to expose it and expose it to you folks, so that you can see it, and you start getting these red flags and start seeing them. Then you'll say, "Hey, man, this guy, there's something to what he's saying." Or that person, or whatever, whoever you're getting it from, because there's others out there, and we're getting stronger and stronger, and but like, for example, look, I don't mean to put down churches or anything like that. Okay, God bless them, they do what they do or trying to do, but there are a lot of uh, dark things, not exactly dark churches. Maybe there are those too, but there's not. In many churches there are a lot of whether they're noticed or not. There's a lot of uh, uh, dark teachings, that not exactly right. You know what I mean? I know I've hit all different kinds. I was raised in supposedly the the only true church. I mean, I stepped away from that. It's I found out a lot of lies, and the exposures of what's going on in that church, and then they just blow it off. It's like, okay, we'll just move them over here, and let's let them terrorize over there, and let them terrorize over there. These are children, man. You know what I mean? And it's just that I don't see anybody. I don't see anybody going to prison over it. You know. Any of you out there do what they've done, you're going to prison. And I don't see that. They just move them over there. Let's put them over there and just get them. Okay, we got rid of them. Yeah, but somebody else is suffering with it. You know what I mean? So, but that's not just in that religion. There's, others, man. They hide in there. So it's, I don't know. There's a lot of, this is the way I look at it. If I go to a certain church, okay? If I go to a certain church, and I've tried many, different, all kinds. But if I go to a certain church, a building, and they start preaching so-called word, the word of God, okay? And I'm sitting there for an hour, hour and a half, and I don't get touched. It doesn't touch me. You have people jumping up and screaming and hallelujah, and some get up and jump around and start running around the church, and like that's supposed to be the spirit hit them, so maybe it did. I don't know, but some fall out, they come up and touch you on the forehead and you fall out, and I mean, now, don't get me wrong. I've been in some churches where I feel some energy, that hits my energy, but to hit my spirit, that's pretty deep, and I've done that by myself. The spirit has done that within me, as a lone entity, more so than any church. And when I realized that, and I'm sitting in this church for an hour, hour and a half, okay, maybe it didn't happen this time. The spirit is here. The spirit of God is here. Okay, well, I didn't feel it. You know what I mean? So let's go next week. Check it out next week. Still nothing. What I am seeing is I'm picking up, negative things coming from the, the altar, from the worship team, or, the pastor himself, or I'm picking up different negatives, and, I'm sitting there, I'm not saying nothing, but I'm picking these things up, okay, well, whatever. I could be wrong. And, I mean, this has happened, people. So then, next week or so, and a couple of weeks later, come to find out, these things were true. But I stopped going because something's not right. I didn't know exactly what it was, but something's not right. It gets too mystic or something. Something's not right, and something was bothering me. And if I got to sit in a church, the house of God, supposedly, and I'm feeling these things, I don't like it. Okay, and anybody else can do whatever they want to do, but for me, I don't like it. So I change it up, and so. But there's a lot of things going down, and in the Word itself, the Word of God itself in the Bible, it says, in the end times, and I believe we're close, people. I believe, the signs. He says, be awake and read the signs. There's going to be wars and all these odd things going on, weather and stuff like that, tragedies. And, that's what's been going on for the last couple of years. I mean, heavy, weird things, and now it's getting even stranger. Look at the, but anyway, he says, we read the signs. So, to me, it's like, why don't they teach it? Why don't they teach these things? You know what I mean? In the churches, they're afraid of losing congregation or people because it's not tickling their ear, You can't just give them the positives. There's negatives. There's a lot of negatives you got to watch out for. So I don't know, but I think they ought to. I believe that churches ought to be waking people up instead of helping them stay blind. You know what I mean? And just stay happy in your life, and just believe in God, and just walk your life, and like there's nothing happening. But as soon as you go out that door, there's a whole world of negative that's coming at you. You know, and you're going to become a victim. You understand? Because people are walking around unaware. To me, that's a victim. You know, that's a victim. You victimize yourself, and they're egging that along. I believe, a lot of them, because all they're giving you is stuff that tickles your ear, and then ask you for a check. Uh, the Lord never said that. You know what I mean? And when He said, give me your tithes, on that aspect, when He said, give me your tithes can be in service. Your tithes can be, give me. Bring them into the storehouse. Well, you are the storehouse, people. You are the storehouse. The storehouse of God. You understand? The storehouse of this almighty power. You are the storehouse. People read it and they think, okay, there's a storehouse over there. There's a storehouse over there. What is it called? And that one's prettier. That one's prettier. I like that one better because of the doors. The doors are magnificent. Have you seen it? Have you seen inside? It's just glory. All the gold and stuff and the statues, and that right there is idolatry. It's straight up idolatry. So let's give money over there, let's give money over there. All these, you know they're all the house of God. You know what I mean? So I don't know, it's just me, okay, people, but I'm not putting them down. I don't know, it's I just, for me, it's I feed the spirit within me. I try to feed the spirit within me. It's something that a lot of people wrestle with, and I've been wrestling with it for years, but ever since I got out of that one, religion, and then it teaches you'll never leave. It's like Hotel California. You can check out, but you can never leave. Come on, you kidding me? You know, because you know what I'm saying. Uh, it doesn't compute with me. Um, it did for a long time because I was programmed, man. I was programmed, but I had to deprogram myself, you know. So it's pretty hard to touch me and convince me, And I've tried, and I've liked the people. I love the pastors and stuff like that, And some speak the truth. I want the truth, man. I want something that's going to touch me, something that's going to ring my bell. You know what I mean? And not the same old stuff, And it just, people are satisfied. There's a lot of people, satisfied with it, and that's it, And are you believing? Are you worshiping this? What are you worshiping? You, you know what I mean? It's sitting in the pew, or whatever chairs to in this building to worship God. You can do that in your garage, or in your living room. You know what I mean? I do it all the time. I wake up the first thing in the morning and I worship. I worship my God. Uh, I want to put on music. Worship music. I do, but I can do it at any time, all day long. I speak to my Maker. You know what I mean? Uh, I don't know. It's some of you, I think, pick up on what I'm saying. Uh, but I like the truth. I like to put out the truth. And, if it's just my opinion in other people's opinion, then so be it. But uh, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And, if I can wake people up to these facts, then fine. But I think it's coming to the point, people, where we need to start thinking for ourselves, and help people wake up to where they're thinking for themselves. Do you know how many people are being manipulated into things that they wouldn't ordinarily do? You know what I mean? Some of your family members, some of my family members, and it's a reality, man. They're being manipulated, and it sounds perfectly fine. It sounds real. It's totally real to them because they've been inducted mentally. It's for whatever reasons, these dark sides are working it. There's a lot of them going down. These back on the dark, these witches and these warlocks and these diviners and these seers and all of that. You know, there's legit clairvoyance. There's legit psychics, I believe. But there's a lot of them that jump on board it's just for the money, people. It's just for the money, man. They're draining people. They're raping people for everything. Put up your car, put up your house. This is important. This is your life. It's going to come back to you, double, triple. And the next thing you know, here, sign here. People do it. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of these that are going down. They're getting busted as federal crimes, man. You know, uh, they're just not state. There's federal crimes being committed, and a lot of them are getting busted. And as far as I'm concerned, I'll expose them. I don't care. Um, there's charges to be done. I mean, it's all in the timing. Okay, it's all in the timing. As for me, let's put it this way: if it's me, I wouldn't file charges until it's time. Okay, and the time will come because you do have a waiting period. Okay, statutes of limitations, and those charges will be filed. All in due time. Uh, so folks, if these things are going on with you, that's how you got to think. You understand? But you got to have your documentation. You got to have all this stuff because it's going to take time. The people hide things. They're out there burning documents and trying to hide all the evidence. Just trying to destroy evidence because they're shaken. And and this is an actual fact. It's happening. It's happening. The different entities, uh, different outfits. It's going on. Yeah, I just seen the news this morning on, some officials, high officials, and elected officials too. There's a lot of people going down, people, and it's funny to me because it's funny in the way that it's interesting because it's I don't know, man. It's like it's a scary thing to think that they're pushing people to a point where there's going to be a civil war. I've been claiming it for a long time. If they claim martial law, you got problems. You got problems, and I've been saying this for a long time. Uh, you know, and Trump is fighting the heck out of it. I mean, I love him, man. He's fighting the heck out of it, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. You know what I mean? And there's some interesting things that have been set up. People that are dead that claim they're dead or whatever that aren't actually dead. They're hidden away. That were set up for certain other things. You know what I mean? They were the bait to bust the bigger fish. You understand? This is the reality, people. Uh, I don't know. There's so much of it going on, folks. I don't know. It's too big a list, and when you've been in your life, what you've been through, and I know a lot of you, and thank God you didn't go through these things in a way because I did. I went through a lot of things, man, starting way back from the 60s, and I saw, and I could see this stuff, and it's coming up and going and coming in and out every decade, come the 60s, come the 70s, come the 80s, the changes and the things that are happening. I started putting these things together, these pieces, and I said, oh, hey, but I was getting these downloads way before, and I'm thinking, well, they're just a thought, but I see them come true, so come at this point in my life, man, I've got to there's some things going on, people, that you're not even aware of, um, your cell phones, man, if you only knew, look, I was in RF, okay, corporate position for 20 some years, okay, and some of you don't know, RF is radio frequency, okay, in a corporate position. So I knew a lot of secrets, that, as a matter of fact, you're sworn to secrecy when you're in it. You're sworn to secrecy about certain things. But, you know, I don't know how much I can say. Uh, you don't have to have things on. You'd be surprised what your phone can do. It's already installed. It's already in there. Just your phone or your television, okay? Uh, or the installation itself, you know. If possible, to monitor your whole house. You don't have to turn anything on. It's just, I'll just leave it at that. But look into it, do some research. It depends on the system, but uh, I'm telling you, folks, it's an invasion of privacy, big time. And it's right now. It's so, look how many of your bank accounts are getting hacked. Look how many of your phones are getting hacked. Look how many of your accounts, your social media is getting hacked. It's run of the mill anymore. Before it was random, a little bit here, a little bit there. Now it's all over the place. Why? Your credit cards. Your credit cards. How many times have you had to order a new credit card? Huh? And they tell you, these banks tell you, oh, we got fraud protection. And a lot of them are good. I'm not saying, it doesn't work, but there's a lot that, if you got fraud protection, then, how come I got to keep, I don't have time to wait 10 days for a credit card. I need it now. I need it now. I might need it tomorrow. I can't wait 10 days, you know? Uh, oh, well, then if you pay us a little extra, then we can rush it to you. 3 days, I mean, I raise hell with them, Uh, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's constant, somebody, and all of a sudden somebody's got charged, and then they call you. You got all these fake numbers, people. Watch out for these scams. You get all these fake numbers. Always call the bank, and the bank says, no, we didn't call you. We don't, you're fine. But I get these, oh, you got charges. You got a charge of $2,000 coming from Sacramento, California. Well, I'm not in Sacramento. I haven't been there, and my card is in my wallet, you know. Are you sure? Are you sure your cards? You might want to check, I don't need to check. I know what it is. I just used it. You know what I mean? And they're trying to get your information, and they try to set it by fear. Okay. But if you don't, they can drain your account and blah, 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 this and that. So they want the PIN number, or they want your, uh, uh, what is it? What is it? Your, special code on your 3-digit code on your credit card. Can you verify? Can you verify your code? Why should I need to verify it? You say you got it. Uh, Things like that. I always give them hell. Because I don't fall for that stuff. But I get it all the time. I get from Indonesia. Have you been to Indonesia? No, I don't even want to go. Well, your credit card was used, really. So anyway, A lot of these things, folks, it's just it's happening today. Uh, but this stuff with the food stamps and the government shutdown, I don't believe all this. I don't believe it, man. I don't believe all this. I see deeper, and they're not going to distract me. You know what I mean? They're not going to distract me to where I'm concentrating right here with blinders. You know what I mean? I look this way, and I'm looking at, I'm checking at all these other details. This this is fine. I understand what that's at, but there's reasons and there's things that I look at, and I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I know there's a lot of people that do it. And they can see these things. Uh, so I don't know. The things I've gone through, folks. It's just something else to bring me to this point. But anyway, whatever makes me this way, and it's spiritual, and I know it is, and it's saved my life many times through my life, and you'd be amazed. People tell me you ought to write a book. Well, it wouldn't be a book; it'd be a series. Well, what you ought to make a movie. If I made a movie, it'd be a series. It's not. You can't concentrate everything I've been through. It's amazing. A lot of people tell me there's no way you could have done that. You haven't lived long enough to do all that. Well, I don't know. I have. I have. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, there's things that I've done in my life that have happened to me in my life that I've come out of that are unbelievable. But you know, I did it. I know I was there. I went through it. So I don't know what to tell you. You can't make the stuff up. There's no way. I can't invent like that. You know what I mean? I can't invent, the details. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I could make you know, a false story about something, but to be strategically intricate in the details, come on. That's got to be, you know, uh, I don't know. It's just, to me, it's not, that's pretty good storyteller, whoever can do that, but a writer or something, maybe if you're writing a book and stuff, I don't know. But to me, I speak the truth. I speak what happened, and it's amazing to me too, folks. To me, it's amazing to me too. I look back sometimes and it's amazing, but I'd love to make a movie out of it. I'd love to do it. Uh, I'm trying to write a book right now, but it's hard. I can tell people the story, okay, but it's hard for me to sit down and write it out, for myself. It's hard for me to do that. But if I'm telling somebody a certain thing, a certain situation that happened in my life, that I can get to the details. I mean, to the exact details. It's like running a video of it in my head. But for me to write it down, it's tough. I can't. I've tried and tried. I can't. It's tough for me to do that. I don't know why that is. But I needed like a biographer. If I had like a biographer, just follow me around with writing it down. That'd be different. I'd tell all this stuff, and then we can implement it in the sections where it go. Because there's a lot. I mean, it's amazing to me. Sometimes I look back and I think, man, I can see why people would say, you didn't live long enough to do all that. Well, I can see some of it because it amazes me sometimes, but it's true. So, the point of it all, people, is I learned a lot of things, and I've seen a lot of things to where at this point in my life, I put these pieces together and I can see the outcome, and these entities, these upper echelon, and these officials, these three letter outfits, uh, they've been working on this for many years, man. Decades, and there's certain political groups. Do you understand? And what amazes me is the people that are blinded to the fact, and they vote for them. It's Uh, they don't see. I mean, it's like I was talking to a guy last night, and he's just, oh my Lord, he's sitting there just giving me this stuff that is going, man, you think I'm talking a fantasy, bro? You don't hear yourself, you know? It's like, there's a door right there, but you're trying to go through the wall, and every time you bounce off the wall, you think about it and you're going back at it again. Like the wall is not there. You don't believe the wall is there, and you're bouncing off of it. It's it's the door's right there, but you don't want that. It don't make sense to you. It's that ridiculous. So I don't know. I don't know how to compute that. It doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, um, so we're just trying to wake you people up to things. It's spiritual, folks, whether you believe it or not. I mean, you got nothing to lose. Uh, you had nothing to lose, man, to give it a try, because that's how you're going to get the sight. That's how you're going to get the sight to see what is going on, what's truly going on. So you can, the Lord says to save, work out your own salvation, and that's your own. I mean, you're not going to go to a church or this or that and find that, you know. That might make you feel good for the day, and then what do? All week long, you're out there a whole different person than you were sitting in church. I've seen it over and over, man. Half the population that goes into churches are whole different people when they're outside of it. So it's only good for that day, for not even that whole day. It's just that hour or 2 hours. So I don't know. It's not everybody. I understand. And I'm not, like I say, I'm not putting churches down. It's good for a lot of people, but there's. I wish they'd speak more of an in-depth truth about what is going on. I think that's a very good platform for for the truth to be spoken, and they claim to speak the truth. Then put the whole truth out there, not just the shiny parts. There's a lot of ugliness to it, you know, but they're afraid of losing the congregation because of the money, the tithes, you know what I mean? And back on that, the Lord says, bring your tithes. Well, he says, give me a 10% of your first fruits. Okay. That's just not just money. That's all the churches teach. That's the prosperity gospel. That's when they talk about it, they don't say it's of service, 10% of your service, 10%. It's in many forms, people, of your first fruits. If you're a farmer, you raise hay, give 10%. That's 10% of it to the church, that's, or to the storehouse. But when you're talking spiritually, it's the storehouse is you. You know what I mean? If I go out and give 10% of my time, like I'm doing right now, I'm doing this right now. So is it 10% of today? You know what I mean? And I'm doing it in service, spiritual service. So I'm giving 10%. If I go over time, uh, am I, what am I getting credit for that? Do you understand what I'm saying? People take this too literally, and you know, from the beginning, they look at Cain and Abel. Look at Cain and Abel, the story of it. Okay, Cain killed Abel. Okay, the Lord says you bring 10% of your first tithes. Okay, so what happens? Okay, Abel brought of his herd, his sheep, the perfect lamb, not the spotted one or what, the most perfect one, and brought it for sacrifice. The 10% of his harvest, basically. Okay, of his first fruits. Okay, 10% of your first fruits. So his first litter or whatever, he dedicated to the Lord. Cain went out and got it, he's got his stacked his, harvest of hay or wheat, whatever it was, and but he didn't bring the best. You hear what I'm saying? So the blessings came on Abel. Cain got jealous, ticked him off and killed his own brother over it. But do you see any money being exchanged there? Did you see any money come to the Lord? And he was speaking to him direct at the time. There wasn't no Bible. You understand? There wasn't any Bible to tell these people. So he was speaking to him direct. Hey, the cloud was talking to him. You know, however you want to take it. Something told him this is what you got to do. Right? There wasn't no money involved. The first fruits, 10% of the first fruits, your service, your harvest, you know, many things. You understand? If it's money, okay, money, you know, whatever. But that, you know, churches don't tell you that, you know. They want the money, you know. We need the money for a jet. Another one? How many do you need? Well, this is a new one. We need a new one. This costs a couple of more million, you know, for this one. We need that one. I don't know. It's hard for me to go along with it myself. But anyway, and then the ones that are speaking, I do speak the truth. They have hell getting any help, any money from anybody, even the big churches. You know, I experienced it personally. You know what I mean? But all these entities and these dark things, these dark sides are, you know, they're attacking people, and that's something I can speak of as a truth because here lately, since I started putting out these videos, especially, man, I've been being attacked, folks. You wouldn't have an idea. You don't even have an idea of it, and nobody does because you know, there's a few, you know, my sons, or something like that. I tell them a few things, but they don't know the whole story. You know, uh, there's a lot of things that's hard to speak of because this is spiritual. It's, you know, only I know, and the ones that are doing it know. You know. But it's all reversed and going back on them. They're, you know, it's going back on them. It's not affecting. You understand? I got the spirit, and I believe in that, and because of that, I'm being protected. Okay, I've got that protection. You understand me? I've got the spirit, and I believe in that. You know, and this is not evil. For those that don't know, it's the spirit of God. I call it dragon since I was small, and I was young. You know. Because I named it. You guys can name it whatever you want. But it's the spirit of the Almighty. And it's always with me, you know. And I've seen it do its work right in front of me. I've seen it do it, you know. I've seen it do it. There's times that I doubt also, you know. I doubt too. There's times I doubt. But I always think back to certain times that there was no doubt, man. I watched things happen that just blew my mind. And I brought it on by the Spirit, you know. It wasn't no magic. No, it was the Spirit doing the work. But I called it on. And, you know, it's all for positive. It's all a positive outcome for people, you know. I mean, I got stories, man. I got true stories, amazing true stories, you know. And like I say, I'd love to do a movie of some of it, man. That'd be great. I'm working on one. I mean, there's a friend of mine that's in casting and stuff, and he put us in a movie one time, you know, with Liam Neeson. So, you know, he wanted me in more, but it's not my bag, you know what I mean? So, but I'd like to make a movie of some of it because I think it'd reach a lot of people. Uh, and I think that'd be beneficial. I mean, financially for me, of course, and beneficial for a lot of people. I think, you know, it'd be great. But anyway, uh, spirit be with you, and I hope some of you wake up. And I will cut this short, folks. And uh, I'm just doing it to wake people up to things that are going on out there that you're not aware of. Open your eyes, and there's a lot more to it, but I can't get into it. I'd be talking for hours. So I want to try to get some funding. I am trying to get some funding, working on that, and it's all working. So, and do this a little more professional. And I want to have it's going to be awesome. I'm excited about it because I know it's going to come through. I'm going to manifest it. Uh, I want to set up a studio, even if I do it in my RV. I can go mobile. I can do it anywhere. And uh, Set up a call center, where I have call-ins and have other people guests where they can sit and answer questions on the same subjects, right? So I think it'd be nice to do that. So, um, you know, those that pray, pray for me, and I'd like to do it. And you can come on there if you got something, a subject you got, and got information on it. I'd love to have you on it. Once I set that up, that'd be great. So keep in touch with me. You got my email. Dragon Speaks for You. You can send me something so I can look ahead and got your information. That'd be great. Um, Dragon Speaks for You with a number 4 and a letter U at gmail.com. Okay. And I'd love to hear from you. And don't worry, I'll keep you in mind because I'm going to put it together and have some open invitations for people. And we'll see what you got to say. And that'd be awesome, Um, People need to hear you. People need to hear you. You have something to say. Okay. You have something to say. Look, if I can get out here and do this, so can you. Don't be afraid to get out there. Don't be afraid to put out your truth. Okay. It's your truth. Look, if you were standing in the middle of a crowd of your friends, it wouldn't be hard for you to sit there and speak, right? That's how you got to look at it. I don't care who's listening and who don't listen and who don't care. You know what I'm saying? Who judges me, who's got opinions in the negative or opinions in the positive. When it comes down to it, I don't look at it either way. It's going to happen. Do you understand? It's going to happen. What does matter is what I'm doing. That's what matters. What I'm doing. It people have the freedom to think and whatever they want, right? I have no control on that, right? And of course, I care about positive. I mean, I don't mean that I don't care at all. I mean, I care about positive responses. You know what I mean? But even the negative is publicity. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, we're gonna have comments and all that stuff. So, like I said, I'm learning. I'm new at this, so I'm trying to do the best I can right now. And I got other things I'm concerned with right now also. So, but I take the time to do this because I think it's important. Okay, I think it's vitally important. But I want to dedicate all of this. Once I clean up all these other things that I'm doing, there's things in my life I got to take care of. I want to focus, most of my time on this. But it's coming. It's coming very here in the very near future. So very near. It's right around the corner. So be looking for it, and those who enjoy it, I'm thankful for you. And we're going to be able to, subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit your likes and subscribe to it. I mean, it helps me out, and it'll all come back to you, folks. You know what I mean? Bigger and better. So, uh, all right. Thank you and have a good day. And I'll see you next time from Dragon.